Your toddler is on the floor of the supermarket, screaming. You can feel 40 pairs of eyes on the back of your neck. And somewhere between the shame and the panic, you hear yourself say it. Stop. Use your words. But they can't use their words. And it's not defiance. It's neurology. Over the last 2 decades, neuroscientists and developmental psychologists have mapped exactly what happens inside a toddler's brain during a meltdown, second by second, structure by structure. And what they found doesn't just change how you respond to tantrums. It changes whether you take them personally. Most people assume a tantrum is a behavior problem. The child wants something, doesn't get it, and chooses to escalate. It feels strategic. The arched back, the ear-splitting pitch, the timing that always seems to happen in the most public place possible. And so the instinct is to respond to the behavior, to correct it, to reason with it. If you calm down, we can talk about it. You're not going to get what you want by screaming. Sounds reasonable. But here's the problem with that theory. Every one of those responses requires the child to do something their brain is physically incapable of doing in that moment. Because during a full tantrum, the part of the toddler's brain responsible for listening to reason is not running. In 2003, a research team led by Dr. Michael Podigal at the University of Minnesota published a study in the journal Emotion that did something nobody had attempted before. They wired toddlers with specialized microphones sewn into the pockets of onesies and recorded the acoustic signatures of over 100 tantrums in real time. Not parent reports, not lab simulations. Real meltdowns in real homes, captured as they happened. What they found was a pattern. Precise and reproducible. Tantrums are not chaos. They follow a temporal architecture. Anger comes first, the screaming, the kicking, the throwing, and then, only after the anger has crested and begun to fall, sadness arrives. The whimpering, the reaching out, the wanting to be held. These are not two random emotions fighting for space. They are two phases of a single neurological event, and they always come in the same order. But it goes deeper than that. That same year, Podigal, Kosorok, and Davidson published a companion study in the Journal of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics, analyzing the duration of tantrums across hundreds of episodes. The average tantrum lasts 3 minutes, not 20, not an hour. 3 minutes, if it is not interfered with during the anger phase. The critical finding was this. When parents attempted to reason with the child, issue commands, or ask questions during peak anger, the tantrum duration increased significantly. The intervention designed to shorten the episode was the very thing extending it. And here's what nobody expected. Dr. Ellen Liebenluft and her team at the National Institute of Mental Health used neuroimaging to observe what happens inside the brain during episodes of severe irritability in children. What they documented was a measurable disruption in the communication between two structures, the amygdala, the brain's alarm system, and the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning, impulse control, language, and decision-making. During a meltdown, the amygdala doesn't just activate, it overwhelms. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain you are speaking to when you say, use your words, is effectively offline. You are not talking to a child who won't listen. You are talking to a brain that can't hear. Think about the last time your toddler melted down. Maybe it was over a broken cracker. Maybe you handed them the blue cup instead of the green one. And in that moment, it felt absurd, disproportionate. You thought, this can't possibly warrant this reaction. But here's the reframe. Your toddler's prefrontal cortex, the circuit that weighs proportionality, that ranks what matters, that modulates emotional response, is not yet wired for that job. The connections between the cortex and the amygdala are still being built, still being insulated. The system that you use 100 times a day to talk yourself down from frustration does not exist in their brain yet. The broken cracker isn't the point. The broken cracker is the spark that lit a system that has no fire extinguisher. Every time you stand there, watching your child scream, wondering what you're doing wrong, know this. You are watching a brain under construction encounter a load it was never designed to carry alone. The Tantrum duration study revealed something else, something that inverted what most parenting advice had been recommending for decades. Podigal's team at Minnesota analyzed what parents did during each phase of the meltdown and cross-referenced it with how long the episode lasted and how it resolved. During the anger phase, the first phase, the loud one, parents who engaged, who talked, who tried to soothe, who asked the child what was wrong, extended the tantrum. Consistently, measurably. Not because they were bad parents, but because they were inputting language and reasoning into a brain whose language and reasoning center was shut down. It was like trying to negotiate with someone whose phone is off. But the parents who did something that felt counterintuitive, who stayed close, stayed calm, and stayed quiet during the anger phase, those parents saw something remarkable. The anger crested faster, and when it crested, when the physiology shifted from rage to sadness, the child reached for them. And in that moment, only in that moment, comfort worked. The sequence matters. Presence during anger, comfort during sadness, not the other way around. If your toddler could speak during a meltdown, and that is precisely the point, they cannot, they would say, "The part of my brain that plans, that controls, that chooses words is offline. The amygdala took over and the prefrontal cortex shut down. I'm not choosing to scream. I am in emergency mode. And the only thing that can bring the rational part back online is your calm presence, not your words, your presence." Dr. Daniel Siegel and Dr. Tina Payne Bryson at UCLA described it in terms that make the mechanism unforgettable. The brain has an upstairs and a downstairs. The downstairs brain, the amygdala, the brainstem, handles instinct, fight or flight, raw emotion. It's ancient, it's fast, and it's fully operational from birth. The upstairs brain, the prefrontal cortex, handles reasoning, emotional regulation, empathy, and impulse control. It is the last region of the brain to fully mature. It won't be finished until the mid-20s. But here is the part that changes everything. The myelin, the biological insulation that allows electrical signals to travel quickly between the downstairs and the upstairs, is still being laid down throughout childhood. When you say, "Stop it," you are asking a brain to use a highway that has not been paved yet. Your toddler is not disobeying you. They are limited by biology. Every time you remain calm during your child's crisis, every time you breathe, get low, and offer presence instead of punishment, you are lending them your prefrontal cortex. You are serving as their external regulator until their internal system is ready to carry the weight alone. That is not permissive parenting. That is applied neuroscience. Now, a note that matters. Tantrums are a normal, expected, and necessary part of development. They are how the brain practices regulation. Most toddlers have them. Most toddlers outgrow them. But if tantrums are lasting significantly longer than 10 to 15 minutes on a regular basis, if they involve self-injury, if they are increasing in frequency rather than decreasing after age 4, or if your child cannot recover even with your calm presence, that is worth mentioning to your pediatrician. Not because something is wrong, but because early support, when it is needed, works. The brain's plasticity at this age is extraordinary. It is the best possible time to help. And trust your instinct. Nobody on earth reads your child better than you do. If something feels off, honor that feeling. You are probably the most finely calibrated instrument in the world for reading your own child. So the next time your toddler is on the floor, arched back, fists clenched, screaming at a volume that seems biologically impossible, remember what is actually happening. That is not manipulation. That is not defiance. That is a brain under construction encountering a storm it cannot yet navigate alone. The amygdala has flooded the system, the prefrontal cortex has gone dark, and somewhere inside that chaos, your child is waiting. Not for your words, not for your correction, for your presence. The tantrum is not a failure of your child. It is proof that they are building one of the most complex systems in the human brain, the architecture of emotional regulation. No one learns to walk without falling. No one learns to regulate emotions without losing control. Every meltdown is a repetition. And every time you are there, calm, present, steady, you are the scaffold holding the structure while it's being built. Millions of years of evolution did not wire toddlers to fall apart by accident. The meltdown is the rehearsal. Your calm is the blueprint. And the building that is going up will stand for the rest of their life. If this changed how you see tantrums, subscribe to this channel and tell me in the comments, what is the moment during your child's meltdown when it's hardest for you to stay calm? And if you've ever noticed that your baby stares at one person in the room and completely ignores everyone else, that's the next video. And the science behind it is extraordinary.